It was a new day, and with the sun rising, it revealed the corpses laying around my property that I dispatched of. The walkers kept coming in. That's exactly why I began constructing these walls around the house. There are only templates right now because we ran out of nails and planks. In order to keep the undead out, we'd have to go back into town and find the nails that we need and other supplies. I decided to cut through the cornfields next to the house to get back into the main part of town. Shielded from the undead, this was perfect. And then the thought crossed my mind that we would need a vehicle. I decided to head to the police station first, as I remembered there were a number of vehicles out front in the parking lot. Maybe I could use one of these. We would need one if we were going to survive for longer. For the most part, it seemed pretty clear, besides this one walker that I quickly disposed of. I began checking each of the police cars first, see if there were any available keys in the glove box. After checking both police cruisers and the blue Mazda along the way, I decided to head over to this one. It was locked, so I'd had to break a window. Now hopefully I don't set off an alarm. Luckily, no alarms went off. I decided to check it as well, but no keys. Nothing. As I wandered over to the courthouse, I noticed there were a few more undead shambling towards me that I had to dispose of. This seemed to be just a regular occurrence, as their numbers didn't seem to dwindle. I guess there were more survivors out there that were being turned into these things. Rest in peace. I decided to check the first vehicle that I came in contact with outside the police station, and to my surprise, we had found our first vehicle key. The next trick was to see if this thing had any gas. I put in the key, tried to start it. Took a couple tries, but we were off, and it looked like we just about had a quarter of a tank left. Eventually we would have to get gas for this thing, but for the time being, this would work fine. The first place I wanted to stop was Rick's neighborhood. I know there were a number of homeowners there that loved fixing up houses, as well as some contractors I knew in town. But as I began to drive down Main Street and through the neighborhood, I truly saw the horrors that had taken over this once quaint place, this quiet town. This place I called my home. It was depressing to think about, but I had no time for that. I stopped at one of the contractor houses on the edge of the rich neighborhood to see if I could find any supplies, as well as those nails I was looking for. I began to think that there were other priorities I needed as well. And since I was here in town, I might as well get food, cooking supplies, any kind of weapons that I could. In this new world, I began to notice I became an opportunist. You had to. It was one of the only ways I probably was going to survive this pandemic. After leaving that house, because the walkers had made their way inside, I checked the back. There was a shed there that I hoped had nails in it, but it didn't seem like there were any building supplies that I could use for what I was trying to do right now. But they did have other things that I might need. A pickaxe could be a good weapon, as well as some metal sheeting, wire. These could be handy for shutters later on. The undead were relentless, and even though I was in a low population part of town, it just didn't seem like their numbers were ending. Even just trying to put these supplies I'd found in the trunk of my car lured more and more of them in. I couldn't stay here long, but I decided to deal with these guys first. After all, I was getting pretty good at putting them down. Once the area was clear and safe, I decided to load up all the food, not really food, but canned goods in the back of the car to get this weight off of me. I headed to the next house, where a garage was already pleasantly open. A generator was here, as well as the nails that we would need for the walls we were crafting. It's almost like God meant for me to find this garage. The Karen owner of this house, however, wasn't too much into it. I had to dispose of her. Didn't need any more problems causing me issues. Because the Karen was so polite, I headed inside. I raided her fridge, which unfortunately didn't have any pickles. I was upset. Headed back to the garage because I wanted to get that generator that could help us down the line once the power goes out. I had to act quick though. Once loaded up and feeling motivated to finish these walls, I headed back to my homestead, where hopefully I could get some kind of protection going. Once there, I was met by yet again some more migrating walkers. Their bodies were slowly littering my yard more and more. I was gonna have to deal with these bodies somehow, and I don't know if burying them would be the best idea. Might have to look into burning them, just a quicker process, and it could negate the fear of infection for myself as well.
Hey you there. Thanks for watching up until this point. I appreciate it heavily. Big time. If you wouldn't mind, maybe if you're still watching, hit that like button for me. It's a small action for you, but it means a lot to me, and it helps me get my content out there to other people who might enjoy this. Thanks so much.
With a well-rested sleep, I woke up to a new day, to where hopefully we could get some building done. It was foggy today, but I'd still be able to see what I was doing. I got to work, putting up some makeshift walls that I could always upgrade later if needed, but for now, would protect me. As I was putting up these walls, however, I began to hear a familiar sound in the distance. Was that a helicopter? Maybe they were here to save me? Maybe it was the military finally coming to clear out these walkers. They weren't landing. They were just hovering around, causing noise. And I began to notice that it was drawing the undead near. If they were just going to do that, I had to get a move on. I couldn't stay in one place. They were going to get me killed. I began doing the best I could, trying to evade the noise, trying to find a place that I could hold out for this duration. Maybe the helicopter would go away if it couldn't see me. But it seemed like everywhere I went there were walkers, too many to deal with, especially with this noise drawing in more and more. It would cost too much attention. I checked on old man Sean's farmhouse, Aunt Pam's house up the road, hell, even the Richardsons' house. They were all covered. I ended up finding a secluded barn out near the woods. It didn't look like there were any high population of walkers around, so I decided to sit here for a minute and also search it. It had also sounded like the helicopter had left, but my optimism would be short-lived yet again. With the noise hovering over me, I decided to look at my map to see where I could get to, plan the route at least back to the house. Maybe by then it would leave. I headed off because I noticed these walkers were closing in on my position. What was this damn helicopter trying to do? Maybe it wasn't even the army. Maybe it was just somebody curious, or seeing if there were any survivors. As I was driving, a thought popped into my head. Maybe I could stay at the fire station. I knew I already cleared out that place before, so there shouldn't be any walkers, or at least too many of them inside. I was making my way closer and closer, however, the damn car ran out of gas. What a great time to run out of gas, I thought. I had to get running. I had to get moving. There were hordes everywhere. I'd safely made it to the fire station without dealing with too many undead, so I had to get in through the window because I knew the doors would be locked. Well, I locked them before I left. Once inside and the helicopter still hovering and making all the noise it can above me, I decided to sit down, chill out, and get some carpentry skills down. For survival, because I will survive.